Do it right.
Well, I guess it's.
We good, Lisa?
They couldn't call it till it's had enough life.
I'd like to call the February 25th, 2025 meeting to order. It was moved by Councillor Charbonneau, second by Councillor Campbell. Be resolved that the agenda for the regular council meeting of February 25th, 2025 be approved as printed. Any comments? All in favor? The Township of Blackford-Masson acknowledges the Apatippi and Assiniboine Nation traditional territory. We live, play, and work here together, and together we shall build a strong and inclusive community. A reminder to all in attendance that council meetings are recorded and made available to the public on the township website for review. Do we have any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none. Move on to adoption of minutes. Moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor Campbell. Be it resolved that the minutes of the February 5th, 2025 emergency council meeting be approved as printed. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor McCutcheon. Be it resolved that the minutes of the February 11th, 2025 regular council meeting be approved as printed. Favor? It's on to consent agenda. Moved by Councillor Charbonneau, second by Councillor Allen. Be resolved that the consent agenda items listed on the February 25th, 2025 regular council agenda, specifically items 8A to 8D, be received by council, and that any motions contained therein be supported as written. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Brings us right down to new business. Moved by Councillor Campbell, seconded by Councillor Charbonneau. Be it resolved that council approve the town manager's attendance at the Fred Dean 4-day CIO training seminar from April 29th to May the 2nd. Questions or comments? Silence. Councillor Charbonneau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick question. The two dates, they're the same course, right?
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Is there, if we approve tonight, can you choose whichever one?
The approval tonight is looking to pass it through the budget because the budget hasn't been approved yet. So if there's approval, I can go in the following, that doesn't make a difference.
Okay, so this approval doesn't lock into a date, then it's, we could, if time doesn't permit you to go in April, you could go in the fall.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions from council? Councillor Charbonneau.
I just wanted to point out I'm in favor of it. I think it would be pretty good experience for Hanji, and it would just benefit the town.
Yeah, I think we all agree that experience is one thing, but training is another. But we have to make sure that the town is running smooth for when we go, but we'll leave that open to you, obviously. And you'll come back to council with your confirmed date.
Yeah.
Okay, and this also puts it in the budget. It's something that the treasurer will put in there. Okay, perfect. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Allen, seconded by Councillor Charbonneau. Be it resolved that council approve the treasurer's enrollment in the Municipal Finance 101 training course on March 26th to 27th. Questions or comments? Oh. Treasurer has a question or comment.
I just wanted to let you guys know that I got notice that this has been postponed And they'll let me know at a later date of when it will happen.
Can we still do the same thing as we did for town manager? Can we approve it in principle for the cost? Because then you can put it in the budget and moving forward, if it happens on a short notice in between two meetings, I think we're all in agreement that this is absolutely necessary. So having said that, I don't have to amend the resolution, obviously, it's the same thing, all right? All those in favor? Oh, Councilor Gatter?
This is a virtual course, am I correct?
Yes,
Okay,
that's a virtual one. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor Charbonneau. Be it resolved that council acknowledges the receipt of report number DPS 2025-005 for information purposes as attached. Questions or comments on that report? Oh, and that council proceed with option one as outlined in the report. So obviously, that's the recommendation. Councillor Allen?
My question is just why we have 3 quotes from one company.
So it's not one company, it's a supplier who goes to different companies and deals with different makes and models and goes out and gets you whatever quotes you want.
Okay,
So they go to Freightliner, they'll get a price, they go to Western Star, they'll get a price. They'll go to whoever you want. And I didn't even put it in here, but I did go and get another supplier and the quote was $500,000.
okay,
$50,000 more, just to solidify to make sure that the supplier we're using.
Yeah.
Isn't in left field.
right, okay, that's mainly what my question was about, yeah.
Councillor Charbonneau?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This goes to the director. Do we have estimated cost of what kind of repairs we're putting into these old trucks at the moment?
I have some numbers. I have some questions on the numbers and I've been working with the team on getting some clarification on those. So I have a snapshot here of 24 to 21. If we look at like some of our international that have 240,000+ kilometers on it. But again, I'm not even sure if that is after a motor's been replaced. Or if it's rolled over, it's on its second time because it's like a 2006. If we look at the last 4 years on an international, we spent in the neighborhood of around $63,000. So an average of about $15,000 a year per truck. Our Freightliner, that is our newest truck, what is it, 2020? If we look, we spent on average about $5,000 per year on that truck in the last 4 years. So it does show us that as we are aging, our maintenance cost is obviously going up. The other good thing is if we go to Western Star, they have a supplier in Timmins that keeps major critical parts in that on their shelf. So freight would be a lot less on getting parts these days. Because if we look at the Western Star that we currently have at the 2014, in 21 and 22, we were okay, but in 24, I have it showing that we almost spent $14,000, but 9,000 of that is in freight. And I'm trying to pinpoint exactly what we paid $9,000 in freight for one truck. Because it's more than the total maintenance cost for that truck, right? So if we look at where we can get available parts, Western Star or Freightliner would be where we can get the most common parts for a new truck.
Councillor Bouchard?
Just have a question. If we're gonna purchase a truck, we should, like internationals and Timmins and stuff, so we're gonna stick to a company that's in Timmins, right? That we can get servicing or even Lister is a little further, but
So like
warranty
this,
work.
pardon?
If it's a new truck, it's gonna be warranty work, like, so we gotta keep that in mind.
Well, if it's warranty work, there's no cost to us. Even if we bought the truck, somewhere in the States. This supplier is in Quebec. So any warranty work, they would come to us at no extra charge. And Freightliner, Western Star also have mechanics in Timmins, like CJ Equipment have 11 certified trucking coach mechanics on their staff, and they sell these plows. So, after the warranty would be done, if we did need to outsource help, we should be able to get a trucking coach mechanic from Timmins.
And you don't want to get anything from international, is there a specific reason or?
From what we could see in the trucks that we currently have, international have cost us a little more money. In talking to two neighboring communities, everyone is getting away from the internationals as of lately. When it comes to liability, where people are really going to the Western Star and Freightliners for up north, just on runnability and less time in the shop. And as you know, as maintenance costs, one of our biggest maintenance costs is actually having a mechanic. We're just trying to stick with the brands that are gonna keep us less of the shop.
Councilor Bouchard?
Just one more question. I noticed on the quote that all the trucks have air ride suspension. Does that make any sense on the plow truck? Like, shouldn't you have just a rubber suspension, like more heavy duty? Like, it doesn't specify what the weights are and stuff, but like even when we had logging trucks, didn't have logging trucks with a air ride, usually kept the Hendrickson leaf spring or rubber suspension.
I think the reason why they went, why they're recommending those as of late is just with different drivers and different heights and mobility. Sometimes the air seats can be a little more comfortable. So
No, I'm not
we-
talking about the air seat, I'm talking about the truck
Oh,
suspension.
yeah, no, sorry, yeah, so even for the ride, that's what most of them are going to. Is,
Neighboring communities are using air ride also?
Yep.
Well, okay.
Councilor McCutcheon?
Yeah, just a quick question. Says it's a 4-season spreader dump box. It's not one of those trucks that the box comes off and you swap it for a sander box, right?
no, exactly, so this will be one box that does all 4 seasons, so when we come from summer to winter. You have some trucks right now that we have to change boxes on, this one here we will not, there will be one box for the 4 season.
Right.
Also, in getting these quotes, the one thing I did do that I wanted to mention to you tonight is I actually went and sat down with our employees at Public Works, all of them, to kind of go through some of the trucks and what they liked, what they didn't like, what worked well on some, what wasn't working well for them, different controls that they have, and then that's what we used with the feedback from the guys that built this truck.
So this will be like an automatic, right? It's not a standard.
Councilor Bouchard?
Sorry, just one more question, is there any chance that we can get a non-current model, like a 23 or 24, like brand new, but still in those specs?
So that's the 25, so the 25, when I started talking, to this source, he had 6 25s left, and then it was all 26s after that. I called him tonight just before coming, just to make sure they even still had some, so that we wouldn't talk for nothing. He has 2 left. And there's nothing that he had that is older and new.
Councilor Charbonneau?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think next question is for the treasurer. Since we don't have a budget right now, would this be feasible, like long-term debt and just a way of purchasing it, so we're not purchasing 2 trucks in the same year, next year or the year after?
The mayor and council, I would have to suggest that we'd have to go long-term debt. I mean, I don't have figures of what our reserves are sitting at, and I don't think we should deplete the reserves. So I'll take direction from you. If you want a long-term debt, make applications for it.
Councilor Charbonneau?
I believe, like, if that's what we have to do, that's what we have to do, right? But I think we should be getting at least one. Because if we don't, we're gonna be stuck buying more than one and, we'll be spending, $1 million or 1.5 in 1 year. Right?
Mhm.
And then in 15 years, it'll be the same thing again.
And we went through this, years ago where we had to buy 3 graders on a back or something, all in 1 year, which was not fun sitting at the table here doing that. Mr. Jagger?
If we look at our fleet for public works. Snowplows is where we're really lacking. Like we spent mega bucks in other locations. But our average age of our snowplow is like a 2011, right? So. After 15 years, we're really starting to get into some major issues, and 3 out of our 5 trucks are pretty much there. So what is the cost gonna be next winter? I couldn't tell you, but the thing that is also a little concerning to me is our 2009, what is not our oldest truck, we actually have 2 trucks that are older than that. That's a truck that we've been using for calcium. So when you look at that truck, it's actually in worse shape than our oldest truck. And it's actually been costing us more money than our oldest truck because of what the calcium is actually doing to the truck. We're starting to run into electrical problems. So us getting a new truck doesn't necessarily replace our oldest truck. It's gonna replace the truck that's giving us the most amount of issues. And we're gonna go back and run a bigger report, not just the last 4 years. We're basically gonna go back from when the trucks were born until today, and then we'll have to come back with a recommendation on what truck we're either gonna park for good, or maybe we just keep this other truck and run it just for calcium until it's no longer feasible to keep it running. I'm not sure at this time what the answer is. It's not like our oldest truck is our worst shaped truck right now. We have some work to do when it comes to our management fleet and making sure that our trucks are aging with the kilometers as they're getting older.
Councillor Bouchard?
Sorry, just one more for the finance of it there. So what you're suggesting is we kind of do like a payment plan for over 4 years type of thing? Is that what you're suggesting?
I would suggest, long-term debt, that's what it'd be. Do note too, 2024 is not settled, and there does seem to be. There were definitely items that have to be looked at how we're gonna finance. Things that happen in 2024.
The only comments I was gonna make is, and I'm glad that you did take the time to go and speak to our employees. There's nothing worse than buying something for an employee based on price or value. If it's garbage and they're not gonna enjoy riding it, or it's not gonna be feasible for our roads or our hills or whatever. And recognizing our management of our fleet, that's something that we've never had here before, or when we did maybe years ago, but not recently. So recognizing which vehicles can be used for what, maybe park one for the summer, but as long as everybody in council recognizes that this is also to be used in the summer. When we say plow truck, you think winter, but this is a 12-month of the year. So we're gonna get value out of it. The timeline, obviously we had 6, now we're down to 2. So obviously the timeline is tonight. It's not something that we can defer or we can move on. So I think it's important that we read the agenda, so it's an important decision to make tonight. Mr. Jagger, you had something to say?
It's a $10,000 decision today. The 26 is only about $10,000 more. I say only 10,000. But for our budget, $10,000 could be the difference in an extra load of calcium this spring, right? The other thing is right now, tariff wise, we haven't been impacted, but that could change at a drop of a hat. And if it does, pricing is only guaranteed for 15 days. So if something does happen that's out of our control, that 10 grand can become 20, 25 grand. I don't know what the number could be. So It is a pressing issue, because if not, I would have waited for budget to bring it, because I understand how important that whole process is. But I figured this was one that we might want to make a decision on beforehand, because it's a pretty costly decision to make if we don't.
And if I understand it correct, the 26s may or may not be ready for winter season.
They may not be ready for the beginning of the season, and literally, for $10,000 is just a sticker on the side that says 25 or 26. There's no significant upgrades to the 26 that we would say for $10,000, we should go with a 26. It's basically just the cost of everything that went up. That's the price adjustment. There's no extra bells or whistles on the 26.
As for the repair bills, Councilor Charbonneau, I can't give you an exact number either, but I can tell you we spend a lot of money. Every time I'm in signing checks and there's on it sits unit 103 or 138 or 152, whatever they are, we spend a lot of money on repairs for everything. So if this long-term debt can alleviate $10, $20, $50,000, it's money that we're not spending on repairs, and it's freeing up our mechanic to go and do some preventive maintenance on something else as well. So, any other questions or comments on this report and the proposed option? No. Are we ready to vote then? So the option was to proceed with option 1 as outlined in the report. Call for vote. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Campbell. Be it resolved, the council hereby recognizes March 8th, 2025 as International Women's Day. Questions or comments? I'll just let everybody know that on March the 8th, Councillor Allen will attend the ceremony to represent council and staff. Appreciate that. There's no other questions, comments. All those in favor? Here. The discussions here now. Moved by Councillor Allen, seconded by Councillor McCutcheon. Be resolved that council requests staff to provide a report on the township's outdoor rinks, specifically details pertaining to prior operations and budgetary numbers. Councillor Camps. No. Councillor Allen. Could you be more specific, just so under our comments here?
So currently, I believe that the rigs are running with volunteers. And the township did go through and fill up gas cans and things like that, but I don't think there was any formal process in how everything was gonna work. These volunteers have just stepped up and taken care of the rinks, as far as I know. Because there was no formal plan in place to have the rinks running this year. So I'd like to first and foremost thank all the volunteers that have taken care of the rinks that are open. We appreciate your time and your effort being put in. The kids do love it, and they do enjoy having something to do in these very small communities. So what I'm looking for is a report on the different details on prior operations and the budgetary numbers for whether or not our volunteers were ever paid. If there was certain supplies or certain upgrades that need to be done to the rinks. If we could try and get those numbers together so that we can put it into the budget for 2025 to get ready for the next season. Because now's the time to get it started, to put in there so that we can start figuring out what we can and can't do with those rinks. There are some deficiencies at those rinks, some things that need to be fixed, and I want to know whether or not we're going to be able to do it this summer to have it ready for the winter time next year. There's also, I had a discussion with one of our volunteers about the possibility, because Holt Tire does not have a community center. The only building or place that we own in Holt Tire that has anything would be the outdoor rink. So possibly making the outdoor rink, with the small building that goes with it, an emergency center of some sort, or emergency shelter center. Because every other community has one, Holt Tire is the only one that doesn't have one anymore. So that's a possibility, and then we can snowball from there on what we could do with that rink or that area. Going forward, so I just want to kind of see what kind of money we can put into the budget to see what we can do to the rinks going forward to make them better and last longer. And a little bit easier for our volunteers as well. I hear that, filling, like starting to flood the rinks and stuff like that, at the beginning of the season is difficult right now because they don't have any plastic or anything, so it's just going onto the ground and it's flowing out wherever holes there are. So things like that, the upgrades of being able to get a roll of plastic to cover the base for both rinks or all the rinks, whatever ones we can. But just to kind of get a budgetary number to see what we can and can't do going forward to try and improve them. And just the overall service of the rinks in the community.
Any other questions, or comments from council yet? Mr. Jiguer?
Thanks for the comments and for the suggestions. We are looking at our rinks. Actually, me and Lisa did take a ride. I'll say about a week ago, give or take a day, maybe two. Just to have a quick outline. You know, there's things just like the lights, there's boards where, you know, like that are leaning. There's for sure some minor upgrades we can do that won't impact the budget tremendously. And we can look at how to improve things. But if we start talking about like getting automatic lighting and stuff like that, that's something that I would highly suggest that with Alana as well, we keep looking at grants for municipalities for improving community centers for use. Because they can be a little costly. But in the short run, absolutely, I think me and Lisa are on the right track this spring. You know, we want to get in there early. We have a full staff here now at the rec as well, so we plan on being able to help our volunteers at the beginning of next season and getting those foundations down to alleviate some of that startup stress, right? We know the snow blowers are kind of aged out as well. That we've got to look at capital budget items as well. There's a lot of work to do at our outdoor rinks, and it's just about prioritizing them so that we can have feasible ice at all of them next year and not just concentrating too much on one to where we run out of funds and then we say, sorry, we can't have ice in Raymore and Valganye, or we can't have ice in Holt Tire, right? So we're compiling the list as we speak and we'll bring something back shortly.
Perfect. Councilor McCutcheon?
Yeah, this is for the Director of Public Works. I know that the Porpoise Hall in the Falls, Dennis got a grant and he had all those boards all redone through a grant. So maybe you could reach out to Dennis and see where he went with that. Cause he managed to get new boards, new fencing, whole 9 yards, so. That would be something to explore there.
Yep, I got Dennis's contact, so I'll reach out.
Perfect. Councilor Charbonneau?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That doesn't work. Maybe we can also look into a sponsorship program for, or like companies to sponsor. We could put some signs around the rinks that would help with the cost.
Yes, typically I've seen that done like indoor. Outdoor, not so much, but like we can try anything. With a committee or whatnot, or get a couple people together so that we're not knocking on the same doors, or you know, me and Lisa were just talking about you know, like not like a rec committee of some sort that used to be, that maybe try to bring that back to life so that when we're planning events and all that in the community, there's an actual group that spearheads it. And not that Lisa and her little group ain't doing a great job already. But just to try to give them a little more assistance in getting the actual committee going again, and that could be something that we look at as well.
Your question or comments? I just want to piggyback onto what Councillor Allen said, but big word was volunteers. So we'll, for the few that we have in our community, we owe a big debt of gratitude for them for. I'm sure when someone's sprinkling a rink or cleaning off a rink, it's not plus 26 in the balmy. So
No,
it's not the best volunteer position to have, but it's very, very much appreciated by all the kids. And then something Mr. Jagger said that we haven't heard at this council table for quite a long time is you had used a sentence where you said you want to help. We haven't had that sentence used in a while, and teamwork. So it's good to see that we're moving forward with those little keywords. So you have your direction as to what the report needs to be?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So having said that, all those in favor? The next discussion is township landfill discussion. I'll open it up for Councillor Charbonneau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to bring this to the table. I think we should have a pretty good discussion on the landfills we have. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Some people won't like me for it, but we have too many landfills for the size of township that we are. And I think the cost is just too much that we can't handle it. I think, and also if you've been to the landfills, they're not in great shape. It's a mess. So I think if we were to drop down to one landfill, being Matheson, the central one, we can focus on it. And at the same time, within the next years, we can focus on cleaning up the other ones. And then in the future, maybe open them back up. But for now, I think we should concentrate on one. I'm open for discussion.
Councillor Allen?
Maybe open them up in a rotational basis where they get cleaned up. We have one central one. They get cleaned up and then going from there. Not only that, but the hours of the landfill need to be changed. I've discussed this before and I'll bring it up again because the hours do not suit very many people. Lots of areas I found, especially in the beginning of coming into council, I found lots of dumping on the back roads, lots of different places, and it's fresh. It's not from years ago or nothing like that. I can see the tracks going into the bush. I can see that it was only done in the last few days because I drove down that road every day. So the hours need to be changed on it. The cost, it's far too expensive in comparison to other landfills within communities around us. And the payments need to go back to being at the landfill because no one wants to go to the township office, pay for landfill, and then head over to the landfill, especially if you're someone who, let's say, lives in Butler Lake. Now you're driving all the way up to Matheson to pay for your landfill fees. And it has to be between the hours of 8:30 and 4:30, Monday to Friday, and not between 12 and 1. So that creates a lot of issues for people who are outside of town because now they have to drive the extra kilometers to go pay for their landfill and then go and use the landfill, which I find is redundant.
Councillor McCutcheon?
Yeah, to go with the hours, like the VG dump. Right, like it's open at night from 4 to 7:30 or 5 to 7:30. Well, there's no lights, there's no lighting, it's pitch black. You're backing up to the bumper and like, it's risky. Right, to have people in there at night pitch black trying to throw garbage in it. So it's, the hours don't match. And the fact that like the Matheson dump, like if we go with the Matheson dump, like I agree with Councillor Charbonneau that one central dump like what the Falls has is probably the most cost-effective way of doing it. But I think if we close or decommission all our dumps and go straight to Matheson, we'll be filling up Matheson pretty quick. they'll be digging holes, right?
Mhm.
So maybe another option would be to fix the hours. Maybe go to the Matheson dump, but at least find another location like the gravel pit or a decommissioned gravel pit where we can actually get decades of dumping.
Mhm.
Landfill instead of just filling one up in a couple of years.
Counselor Sherbrooke?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to piggyback on, Councilor McCutcheon. I'll have to ask the director on this, but I'm pretty sure the Matheson landfill it's got about 60 years left or something in the reports.
Thank you for the question. Feel like I'm talking quite a bit tonight. I should have brought another water, but it's okay. I started looking at the C of As, so every dump has its own C of A. Basically telling you what you can and cannot do with that dump. So it's not like we could just pick and choose to temporarily not use it. Let's get away from using the word closure, okay? Temporarily not using, because as soon as you say closure, big money to reopen. Okay, so if we temporarily choose not to use every dump except for Madison, it's okay. Because Madison actually accepts everything. The problem's gonna be, or the issue, is in 2 years from now, if we said, we're gonna stop using Madison for a bit and go to Valgagny. Valgagny C of A right now does actually not let you use it as the same as you do in Madison. C of A is different on what you can put there and what you can't put there. So what I would suggest that we would have to do, if this is a way that we want to go, we would almost have to get a new calculation on how long our Madison landfill is going to last if we're gonna take all of our garbage and bring it all there. Because if we do this for 2-3 years, whatever, we could shorten the life expectancy of the Madison landfill to a spot to where it puts us where we need to find a new location or try to get one of our current C of As in our different landfills adjusted. And that's not an easy process. Anything's doable, but it's not an easy process. So to say that we're just gonna use one and shut one. You know, and again, we have one dump right now that is a seasonal dump. If we ever wanted to look at repurposing a dump, we right now use all of our sludge from Aqua goes to Timmins to a site. And it cost us quite a bit of money. There could be an exercise then to see what it would cost us to repurpose that dump to take our sludge to that landfill to minimize the cost of our sludge. That's another thing we can do. But I'm all for looking at it. The hours, again, right now we have let's say, call it 1.3 employees working at our landfills. And it just becomes a budget item. If we want more hours, it's doable, but there's a cost, right? So how much in cost do we want to incur of the dumps being open? But we can for sure, whatever the appetite is around the table, if it's to temporarily not use certain dumps and concentrate on getting Madison up to, let's say, what a dump should be, I highly recommend, I would be in total favor of that. Let's get back to, where things are properly separated. Let's make sure that we have control of it. Then we can go into our other landfills, clean them up. Make sure that we have proper sites, dumping sites for different materials at them. And then relook at a schedule once that would be done. When it comes to payment, that's a little bit of a trickier one. And I don't have the exact answers. I want to say that one neighboring community, you can go there and you basically get a receipt, like an invoice, right? And then town hall processes those invoices. I'm not sure exactly how it works, and I don't want to, Sonia's gonna hit me if I maybe create more work, so I'm sitting pretty close, but to take payment at the landfill, I don't know if that would be best practice. But we can for sure come up with some kind of invoicing process that when you get to the dump, you can get a copy of an invoice and then we can get the original and somehow make that work. It's a dream for me, maybe. Sonia's gonna hit me. That's all.
Counselor Charbonneau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the payment stuff, I don't know how hard it would be, but you know, like your taxes, you can pay it online as a payee. That's how Eric Falls has it. You can pay your dump fees online like that. But it's probably a process.
Counselor Allen.
Also, previous to this coming to the township office payments, payments were being taken at the landfill. Prior to this change only happened 2 years ago.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, it was about 2 years ago when this change happened. So previously it was go to the landfill and you pay right then and there. My problem with the payments is not only that it's not there, but they're also very, very high in comparison to Iroquois Falls and everywhere else. So I hate to say it and I am not encouraging it, but I understand why people are dumping on the sides because you just simply can't afford to go to realistically with the cost. At one point, I went to the dump I have a large SUV and a trailer. They were gonna charge me for the large SUV and the trailer, so it was almost $100 for me to dump stuff out of a trailer. So we have to kind of keep an eye on that and check and make sure that we're within what's reasonable, because once you start charging too much, that's another reason for people not to come to the dump. Because it's just too expensive for them to come and dump.
Any other questions or comments? Counselor Charbonneau.
Thank you. Oh, it doesn't work. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just go against Councilor Allen here a little bit. Because paying at the dump, as a contractor, I feel it and I see it all the time. To dump my trailer, it's $85. Sometimes I'll go 10 times a day. I gotta carry $850 on my, you don't always have that. I deal with RBC for business. There isn't that. So you see where I'm going, like, I'd have to go to Eric Falls first to take out money, to be able to come back to Madison, to go to the dump and pay at the dump. I think there should be another system put in place.
Treasurer.
There actually is another system. We sell tickets. You can pay for 20 loads. You go to the dump, they scratch one off. So you can pay in advance and then you're done. So we do have that option. And also just a reminder that these dump fees are your revenue. You start to reduce that, then you know there's less revenue coming in. And I'm just gonna make a comment about, I lived in the country for 17 years. Out towards Lava Mountain. And the dumping wherever has been going on for years, not just the last couple of years. This has been an issue. Actually, it started when we actually put a gate on the dump site because I was employed with Public Works at that time. And that's where the issue started. People didn't want to have to go during hours. Just
Okay, so obviously Mr. Gier would be in agreement to creating a report, but I guess we just want a blank, right? You don't want to say specifically how to pay or which dump or what hours, so you're okay with just a generic report coming through as to.
Well, yeah, what he feels is best for the department.
Okay, Mr. Gier.
Well, like, if we're looking for something very temporarily and short, then that's not such of a big taking. But if we're looking, like, I heard the word 2 years, if we're looking to temporarily not use our facilities for 2 years and go to one, as much as I don't like saying this next phrase, we may need to get an engineering firm in to have a look at our current dump and see how many cells we still have, how many cells we've used. Right now we're using a bulldozer to crush our garbage, what may work somewhat. A lot of places use compactors, so there could be a cost associated to even getting you the proper information if you wanna look at doing this for a significant time period. So if that's what you want, one, it won't be at the next meeting. Cause I know that's the next question. And two, then I would kind of need like the blessing, because again, we don't have a budget yet. I would need the blessing to engage EXP on getting together with Doug, as you know, he was looking at the dumps before, in the past. Just to kind of get an engineering report back on what this does to our landfill if we do it. If I get that blessing, then I'll come back as soon as I can in a timely fashion. After consulting with Sonia and her department and Lisa on payment options. Reducing to one landfill site with a new operating schedule.
That, you okay with that? Councilor
I
Sherman?
am, yeah.
Prior, with no, not as extent as the engineering fees yet.
What's that?
No, don't want to go to the extent of the engineering fees.
Well, he's
report
gonna
yet.
have to contact them for sure. But we do have reports from last year. I think it was, you're shaking your head. I think, I remember reading it, right?
So I know with the audit, they require these landfill reports, and I think some of this is in it. Kind of missing some information, so I'm sure we'll be able to work together and.
Cause I remember last year reading life expectancy for every dump and how much tons they can take and blah, blah, blah. I read that last year.
Councilor Bouchard?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I think, it's, financially, it seems like a good thing to do, but I think we need to make our residents aware. Like if I take the example, my son that lives at the outer limit of Valgani by the bridge in Monteith, it'd be quite a ways to drive to all the way to Matheson to dump garbage, where he doesn't have the option for a garbage pickup. And the same is gonna happen for people that live on concessions, even Butler Lake has a seasonal garbage pickup. They're gonna have to drive all the way to Matheson too, so geographically, we're a big area, so we need to consider that in this option.
Something like that would come over the report though, as
Yeah.
to help us. Councilor Gattard?
Yeah, I'm just wondering how big of a cost saving it would be after all, like if you figure all of this up. It might not be that big of a cost saving,
Mhm.
just use the one.
But that's the idea of the report, is to find out, is it a cost savings, is it gonna cause more headaches, is it gonna be easier? In terms of geographically, I'll tell you that I used to live in Callander, just south of North Bay. And I lived on the line between Callander and Boston, and my dump was Sand Dam Road in North Bay, which is 10 kilometers north of Tebow Hill. It was an hour drive. But you made sure when you went there, you were full, and it was a worthwhile, so. It might inconvenience some people to have to travel 15 or 20 minutes, but if it's gonna save us money, but if it's gonna give us better options down the road, I think it's something to consider that would be exposed in a report, actually. Councilor Charbonneau?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for, I've done some research there. If you look at neighboring places. Timmins, if you don't have pickup or if you want to go to the dump, you're driving minimum 15 to 45 minutes, depending where you live. If you're in Cochrane, you're driving 25 minutes. It's far. If you're in Niagara Falls, you're driving to Nelly Lake, so that's for sure 10 minutes. So I'm just looking from Holt Tower to Matheson, you're probably what, 15 minutes?
15, 20.
And from Monteith, Shillington to Matheson, you're 15 minutes. So at the end of the day, it would be an adjustment, but if we can save a lot of costs, and it's not just the cost, it's the hours. So on Tuesdays, we're open only in the morning in Matheson. And then that's it. And then Wednesdays, you're not even open at all in Matheson.
Right.
You know? So then people, well, for like myself, I gotta look at the schedule all the time, cause I never know where's open when, and if you can have consistency, I think we'll stop will help stop the garbage in the bush.
And I think in there might be a cost savings in there is, do we not float our bulldozer from one site to another? That adds up after a while.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, we do float our bulldozer from one site to the other. If we're looking, if council's looking to say going down to one landfill, we're gonna save mega bucks on day one. I don't wanna disappoint you, because if we want the dump to be open, from what I'm gathering, pretty much a 5-day a week, someone who's maybe on shift work would be able to go, into the early evening, but someone, can go also in the morning. Where probably our manpower is probably gonna stay about the same. But where I see the cost savings is years down the line. If we can take control again of our landfills and have proper dumping and proper locations, we won't be filling ourselves up as quick. But means our lifespan is going to be longer for our dumps. Right now, you go to any of our landfills and everything is pretty much just goes in the hole. And that's what we have to stop. We have to take control of the landfills again, get proper procedures in place and proper monitoring, and then move from there, in my opinion.
Councillor Bouchard?
Something that we could consider is the yellow bins that are at the dump for the recycling. We could put one of those at each skating rink location where people at least could bring their recycling. And it could get picked up. At least that part of it could be done without driving all the way to Matheson. Be something that could be done. Considered.
Okay, so we're okay with requesting a report now, Councillor Sharma?
You guys want the engineering report?
You want the one with the engineering report requested? Or do you want to at least get an estimate on the engineering report as well?
It may not be a full out engineering report. We're just going to have a conversation with EXP to make sure that we're going down the right path on what we're doing. That's all I want to do. So I'm not looking for $50,000 for a brand new engineering report at this time. I'm just looking, to be able to spend I don't want to throw a number, but whatever a 1-hour phone call is going to cost with Doug,
Okay.
just to make sure that what we're doing is on the up and up, as he is very familiar with all the CFAs. And I am not. I've read them, but I haven't been dealing in landfills for many years as he has. So I just want to have an initial conversation with him and the team to make sure that what we're doing is all right.
I'd like to have that in.
Okay.
So we just like consulting. But it has to be tabled, so you can move it a second.
Yeah. So if I could get a mover and a seconder on that, please, Councillor. I got the names. Move by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor
You got good ears, huh?
Allen. Be it resolved that council direct staff to consult an engineer and provide a report on the township's landfill sites. Discussed it. All those in favor? Carried. The next item is commercial recycling pickup discussion, and that's says me, but I'm gonna quickly ask Mr. Jaguar. The reason I wanted the discussion was for years up until this flyer came out. This flyer came out around Christmas. I don't know why, but our commercial recycling was being picked up. And then once this flyer came out, and I think it has to do with the Ontario government, but now our businesses do not get their recycling picked up. So I like to ask Mr. Jaguar why and what, but my reasoning for discussion is if there's a way that we could work with the businesses to start getting that picked up, because we're gonna end up in the same situation. If the gentleman has 500 boxes, where's it gonna go, right? So if I could turn the floor over to you just to give me some insight as to why.
Sure, so high level, just because we actually met about this today, and Lisa does most of the work, so I don't wanna take all the gratitude here. But it is a new system and it was implemented from the government. It's not like we had a choice to say, no, thank you, we're gonna keep doing what we're doing. Just keep giving us money. It doesn't work like that, right? So, in the new program, it is residential only. In talking with the contractor that's picking up for the residential, right now, there are some preliminary discussions happening on maybe having a couple of bins set up in each community at a central location to where you can go and dump your recycling. It wouldn't be like at each business, it would be in a, like, let's use the arena parking lot just because we own the property. You could have 3 or 4 bins set up here where the businesses could come and dump their recycling. That way there, you know, it's being picked up. We get, I wanna say on average, $1,600 a month credited through the recycling program. And we would need maybe 6 bins in total for, our commercials in Raymore, Algonquin, and Madison. It's everywhere we have stores, if I'm correct there. And it would be at approximately, the first numbers were around $25 per bin, to be dumped on a bi-weekly basis. So there'd be some trial and error on how often you have to get them dumped. And they come with the risk of residents going to put the recycling in there as well. And who knows what else. So there is a risk there. That's why if we can have a well-lit area, eventually might have to look at a camera or something, but the conversation right now that we had today was to look at that option. Because if we went to individually picking them up, the cost would probably be more elevated, but we can also ask that question.
Okay, so if we're already in discussions with them, then can we just wait until the discussions are done and then move from there? There's no
Absolutely.
sense reinventing the wheel, right? I was gonna ask for a report, but if you're already in discussions,
We're hoping to have something to present to council by the next council meeting. The guys in Timmins are very good to work with. And they're working really well with Lisa. So we're just gonna keep that dialogue going and hopefully come back with maybe there'll be 1, 2, or 3 options, but we'll have options with cost associated to it and then your future.
so are we making money off of our residential recycling right now?
So I wouldn't call it that we make money, but because of the program that we're in, we do get, I think it's 16 credit. We get credit around $1,600 on a monthly basis for having the program. So as long as, you know, we stay within those limits, then it wouldn't cost us anything to give that service to everyone. But I would highly recommend that we don't use that whole $1,600 for bins, but we can for sure use a little bit of it to get some bins at a different location.
So I don't really need to table a motion then, I think. Counselor Allen?
I'm just curious as to why, when this program was put in place, were none of the commercial businesses made aware that this was going to happen? Because I know that in the business that I worked in, we spent 4 weeks trying to figure out why the recycling wasn't coming. Until finally we got an answer saying that they're not coming, and then we did have someone come in and say, oh yeah, we're picking up your recycling, no problem. But then I'm hearing on the other side that that's not the case, that it's not supposed to be commercial. So what is it and what are the rules going forward as of right now? Because right now there are businesses that need the recycling taken care of. And that should have been something that was discussed with them prior to. So now, where do we go from here right now? What kind of direction do we give businesses right now?
Mr. Zager?
So if we go back a bit, and again, I don't like to try to, throw curveballs or whatnot. But when this program was given to the municipality, let's just say that the director that was in place at the time, is no longer here. And what had happened is there was a gap there. So there's a gap in the service that obviously in the communication that we gave to our residents. So we didn't pick who got to pick up and who didn't. And even the new contractor who took over, there was some confusion there, and there still is. We're still sorting out with, like CSAP apartments and whatnot on where do they actually pick up, what's part of the program and what's not. So that's how come there's been some confusion. Like when we got in office and Lisa actually wasn't part of the discussions, let's say, late last year. So it was even some point for Lisa, it was all new as well. So we were trying to gather information ourselves. Myself, I went to a couple of local businesses here in town that had called. I actually took the time to go and meet with them in person, tell them what we were going through. Obviously not every business called, so I didn't make my way to every business, but I went to the ones that called. And then we started looking at what can we do moving forward. So what are we doing as of today? As of today, the program does not include pickup for the businesses, so we haven't been giving that service because it would come to a cost. That one way or another, it's a cost. And without direction from mayor and council, we would not do that. So that's why we're having this discussion.
Perfect. Well, as long as you're well on the way to report, so. Thank you very much. Oh, Mr. Bouchard.
Yeah, just to keep in mind that operating a commercial business ourselves, it's fairly costly to go to the dump once a month, like, you know, to bring 2 or 3 truckloads, like, you know, similar to what Councillor Charbonneau does. And to have the truck drive in front of our shop and not have the recycling picked up or even the garbage picked up. I know the commercial garbage hasn't been picked up in years. It's just, you know, we pay substantially a lot more taxes than all the residents that live across the street. And we actually get snow removal done, that's about it for the amount of taxes that we pay. It's astronomical. So just something to consider.
Fair enough. Okay, so move right along then. On to reports.
They cannot say anything else.
Moved by Councillor Campbell, seconded by Councillor Gattery. Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of TMC 2025-003 Town Manager January monthly report as attached for information purposes. Question or comments on this report? You look at me right away. Councillor Charbonneau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one comment, one question. I just wanted to say good job with the Mennonites. I think they really feel included. I think they're very happy since you've been there. And my question is for the committees, do we have a timeline of approximately when the meetings could start?
So through the mayor, Alana and I are working on it. Unfortunately, she's been feeling a little bit under the weather, but we have been contacting all the members on the committees and we're scheduling them as soon as possible.
Okay.
So hopefully within the next few weeks.
Any other questions, comments? Councillor Bouchard?
For this report, there's a thing about there for the Pine Bridge Road Bridge rehabilitation, right? That's in that report?
Nope.
It's the next one.
Next
That's
report.
me again.
Different department.
Different part.
Right. All those in favor? Oh, sorry, Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Have we gotten any response on the RFPs and RFQs that have been gone up?
Through the mayor, yes, we have. The closing date hasn't approached yet. So once it has, we'll bring the options forward and we'll bring to council for approval.
All right, no other comments? All those in favor? Here. Moved by Councillor Charbonneau, second by Councillor Allen, be resolved that council acknowledges receipt of DPS 2025-004 Director of Public Services January February report as attached for information purposes. Questions or comments? Councillor Bouchard.
Yes, the question was, where was that here? For the Pine Bridge rehabilitation, are we looking also at repairing the bridge or taking it out to put culverts in instead? Is that an option that's being considered? So that we don't have regular inspections that have to be done. Like if you have a bridge, you have to do regular inspections. We'll put culverts in. Usually you don't have to worry about it for.
This situation is the one where we're looking at stopping up and closing Pine Road.
Yeah.
And removing the bridge. And the abutting landowners could take care of how they cross the river if they chose to. They could go around. But that's what this report was, that's where we're going with this one. That way we don't have, we get rid of an asset. And we don't have continued maintenance on that asset. Did you want to further comment on that, Mr. Jagger?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was getting bored here in the corner. Yeah, so the direction that we were given for this specific one was exactly what you said, Mr. Mayor, and the reasoning for it is of the location. If you look at the land on either side of the road to the next concessions, we're basically affecting two landowners. And the two landowners are the ones that are pushing for us to stop the road and get rid of the bridge so that they can do what they see fit. My first report, when I first started, we had talked about this and there was the possibility of selling the bridge. Selling the bridge would leave us with a lot of liability regardless of what paperwork we get signed. So if we're looking at stopping the road, there's a process on stopping the road, public consultation, there's a whole process there. And if we were successful at stopping the road, then we could remove the bridge and then be done with it. But again, we first have to be successful at stopping the road. Through public consultation, proper notification. You know, that list goes on a bit, but it's a process that we can for sure look at. Cost effective, the best way would be just to remove the bridge and walk away once the road would be stopped. That would leave no liability in our hand.
And in it, you'll see that the department is engaging with the municipal compliance officer, which make sure everybody is aware that our municipal compliance officer is our bylaw officer and our chief building official. But his real title is municipal compliance officer. So what that position is doing is ensuring that as Mr. Jagger and his department moves forward with stopping up that road and closing it, that we are in compliance with all the regulations, the public presentations, the government, everything we have to do, as well as ensuring that when we do remove the bridge, that again, we're in compliance. So just so everybody's aware that it's a team effort. Obviously, it's not Mr. Garrett just saying, you know, I hereby declare this road is closed. It's he has to follow certain rules. So just I can see, you know, obviously it's written in bold municipal compliance. I want to make sure everybody's aware that our bylaw officer as well is our compliance officer, and he's making sure that our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted. Councillor Bouchard.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just the main concern was is the way it's written, it's an assessment and rehabilitation of the bridge. And long-term stability and safety. So it's not saying that we're looking at removing it, it's saying that we're looking at rehabilitating it. That's my
Okay,
kind of my question.
Mr. Jagger.
Yeah, so before I had to submit my report, I was under the impression that we were looking at fixing it. And I had a conversation with Mayor Diamond, I'll say, 48 hours ago, maybe 72 hours ago, out of somewhere in there, that window. And he assured me that it was on stopping the road and removing the asset. So there's a lot more of an appetite for that than the other.
Thanks for the clarification.
Councillor McCutcheon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through, question for you. Is this Bailey, one of the Bailey bridges we got? No?
No, it's a wooden structured bridge.
Okay, so it doesn't, we have what, 5 or 7 of the Bailey bridges?
This one's all wood.
Okay.
Bonfire.
Any other questions, comments for Director of Public Services? Councillor Sherman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just got a quick question to the director. I was under the impression that before the bylaw and stuff was under the director. I just want to see if you can have a little insight on, because there's no report here for bylaw, and I think maybe you can clarify what's going on and what we can see in the future.
Sure, so myself, James and Hunji have been working really close on a couple of issues and concerns, a couple of dockets. What happens is when you get a municipal compliance, there's gonna be certain things that there's gonna be 2 or 3 of us that our heads need to come together, as scary as that sounds, to be able to get all the correct answers and pass forward. James being in the position he is exactly that. When we're looking at stopping up the road and maybe closing it, there's a whole process there. And James really has the experience and with his title on the proper procedures and bylaws that need to be in place for us to be able to do so. We have also been working on getting back out into the community. We know that there's a need and there is for sure a want on having enforcement back throughout the township. Yesterday morning downtown, again, just vehicles parked and making it very hard for our public works guy to go around. And then when they leave, it shows a poor reflection on the job that we're doing. Cause then it's like, well, why didn't you pick up the snow here? Okay, there is a truck here. That's why, right? And then it's costly to go back. So we're also been working hand in hand with James. We have new tickets on the way for parking violation. And we also have new part 1 tickets that have been given to the municipality. And enforcement is going to be starting in the very near future. Did that answer your question or?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I just want to make 2 comments to you and your team. Nice to see that we have a general working foreman now, which is, again, we're moving forward. We have 2 arena workers. That's good to see. We have a battery operated Zamboni, hopefully still.
Olympia.
Olympia, sorry, Olympia. So that's good. But one of the biggest items I picked from this report is that your team, along with the municipal compliance officer, were close in getting the VG ball field back. So that, I think, will help in the future for our kids, but it's going to put something back to the community we haven't done for a long, long time.
Yeah, and if I can talk just about the VG ball field, and it is obviously near and dear to my heart, as that's where I grew up on that field. A lot of this legwork was done before I got here. I don't want to take any credit for this being where it's at. It's basically in the lawyer's hands now because the church, the diocese owns, let's say, 3/4 of the baseball field, and somebody else owns the other quarter of the baseball field. Just the way we roll in Valgagny, right? So, but all 3 parties, we're all at the table. Everyone wants to see us have it. So it's just a matter of getting the zoning and getting the amendments and getting it through. But that's all that's left, is just to legally get it transferred to our name.
Perfect. No other questions, comments? All those in favor? Okay. And I must say that we can say how efficient the Director of Public Service is. He has his January-February report done on the 25th of February. Moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Gaddy, be resolved the council acknowledges receipt of P 2025-06 Treasury January report as attached for information purposes. Any questions or comments on that report? No? All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Bouchard, second by Councillor Campbell, be resolved that council acknowledges receipt of TM 2025-05 annual membership renewal memo as attached for information purposes And that council directs staff to renew the annual memberships as outlined in the attached memo. Do you have any questions or comments on that report? No? I'm gonna ask a question if the treasurer would be so obliged. Can you explain, other good roads obviously is pretty simple to understand, and Municipal Finance Officers Association, AMO is the Associated Municipalities of Ontario. Could you explain maybe what some of the acronyms are, just so that everybody's aware, like MEPCO and OMATRA and can I test your ability here?
Yeah, you're gonna give me the hard ones. I'm gonna let Jill speak because he does so much better than I do. MEPCO, they're a representative on OMERS, municipal employee pension.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
retirement, yes.
okay. And OMTA is the municipal one that's property taxes. They help us with legislation.
Municipalities, the payroll, understand municipal world. Neoma is the Northeastern Ontario,
Yeah,
the fire prevention, so yeah, and then the local authority services, that's a purchase program that we belong to, isn't it?
yes, as well as our energy, we have energy savings with them.
Okay. Okay. No other questions or comments? I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor Charbonneau, be resolved, the council acknowledges receipt of TM 2025-07 vesting properties memo as attached for information purposes, and that council directs staff to vest the noted properties as outlined in the attached memo. Do you have any questions or comments on that report? Councillor Bouchard?
Just a question, right now, like, the state of the properties they're in right now, does the township have liability for any of those? The way they are, but before they're vested? Because these technically still belong to the actual owner, right?
The ones that are on this list in this
Yeah.
6 or 8 items? I will turn to our side panel.
So these properties have all gone through the tax sale. They've gone through all the searches, everything, they've been advertised and nobody purchased them.
Okay.
So we can re-advertise them, but this is gonna cost municipality again. Per file, when we do, first few steps is about $3,500 a file. So these properties, nobody was interested in. If we vest them, we declare them surplus, maybe then somebody will
Okay.
come up and buy them.
So they still belong to the municipality no matter what?
No, if we don't vest them, they're still in the owner's name.
Oh.
Once we vest them, they become the municipal property.
They were liable.
Well, it's like all our other properties that we have vested.
Councillor McCutcheon?
So if we vest these properties, if there's any structures on them that aren't safe, we're gonna have to knock them down.
I don't think there's any properties on it or any buildings on any of,
None of these are,
I can't 100% say there aren't, but I would have to go through the list again.
yeah, 'cause if we vest certain ones, like if we have one like the whole tire with the derelict house that's sitting there. And we're gonna have to get public works to get rid of it,
If it's deemed condemned.
that'll be a cost.
But as well, re-advertising costs us lots of money.
Yeah.
So at this point here, we're cutting our loss and it might become more attractive to a buyer at that point. Seeing no other questions, call for vote. All those in favor? Moved by Counselor Gattary, second by Counselor Bouchard, be it resolved, the council acknowledges receipt of ADR 2025-01 Recreation Council Report as attached for information purposes. Any questions or comments on that report? Counselor Charbonneau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, Lisa, you do a great job. Everybody has very high remarks about you. But as I was reading this, I'm just curious if we can check. Because you mentioned in the summer months, the bus rental is very high. So I'm just wondering if we can maybe put Dude to work. See if we can maybe get a used bus and just purchase it. Maybe it would be more cost effective.
About this. There has been, we have discussed about purchasing a bus at some point. And it would be similar to like a school team bus, similar to that. I think it would be beneficial, but as of right now, I don't think that Jill and I have discussed it, and right now, not a great option. But something for the future, absolutely.
Were you looking at having Mr. Jiguer drive the bus?
Yeah.
Also,
When I think our director has something to say.
Mr. Jiguer?
Yeah, actually, it's weird that you mentioned that. Maybe you're listening to it when we were talking the other day, but we were looking actually at, there was a grant that we thought we maybe could have qualified for, but we didn't. That would have given us money or funds to purchase a bus. And then we looked at maybe looking at secondhand, but looking at our fleet of our snow plows and other things that are like a need, not a want. We kind of just stopped the conversation until we can get our handle on maybe this year and next year's budget and see how things are going. Then we could possibly revisit, but to go out and buy a bus, make Lisa go get her license, and then have to have it awfully mechanically sound. Like, I'm not sure if we're there yet to take on that Edmonton.
Counselor Charbonneau?
I'm just wondering if we could just keep our eyes open. Because I don't know what the rental is. But let's say it's $1,000 a time, it's 12,000 a year. I'm just putting numbers out there. For example, I just bought a plow truck for $5,000. It's a used one, but you know, for 12 or 24 trips a year, it doesn't have to be a brand new bus, right? So if we can just keep our eyes open, and if something comes up and you say, hey, this could save us money.
Absolutely.
Counselor Allen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I can tell you that the school bus companies in Timmins sell buses once they're done with them for up to $2,000 is the highest cost that I've seen. But when I was speaking to them about it, because they did have a lot of buses in the yard, they basically ship them back and send them off to auction. So if it's not purchased on site there, then it's being shipped somewhere to be auctioned off somewhere else. So you can get them fairly cheap. Whether or not, what kind of condition they're in mechanically and stuff like that, I mean, you'd have to bring someone with you to determine what's good and what's bad. But I do know that there's a lot of people out there who do buy these buses, whether they convert them into their own homes or whatever it may be nowadays. But it is an option that is fairly cheap in the area.
Counselor Bouchard?
Yeah, what's as Councillor Charbonneau mentioned, what's our cost annually to rent a bus?
So it looks out that during the regular school months, the average trip is $500 per trip, just under 500. And this past summer, when I asked them for a bus for July and August, the original price that they came back to me was just under $1,000 because it's during the summer months and doesn't work along with the route. So I declined a bus for July last year because at that time, you remember there was no budget and no council, and so I had nowhere to go. Expressed my very dissatisfied attitude. And she ended up coming back to me for the August bus, and it went to, I think it was approximately 700, so they did drop. But not enough. But so we do rotate our destinations for the senior bus. Kirkland Lake, they're going to South Porcupine this Friday. They go to Twin Square and they go to Walmart. On average, I average 20 seniors per trip. They love this bus. I love to give them their bus. They're very happy and I want to continue that. That's why I think it would be beneficial, but obviously they need to look at it.
Bring them to Rouen in the summer, they'll
But
go nuts.
what's their annual cost? Like, are we spending $15,000 a year? Are we spending $20,000 a year? Roughly? It's
Just one moment, the treasurer
Yeah.
will check on that.
I think it's fine. I wanna say for 2025, we have a proposed allocation of $12,000 for the year. That came, from Lisa to me, and I gave it to Sam.
Okay, so what they're getting at is if you buy a bus for whatever price, you still have to do a safety check. You gotta maintain it, you gotta pay for the fuel, you gotta pay for the insurance, and you gotta pay for a qualified driver. I think if we could maybe sit down with these companies and say, listen, can you give us a price, a yearly price? For so many activities? To me, that would be the more cost effective one to do than to buy a bus, because we already have too many old vehicles parked in the yard.
Me and Lisa are working together, more Lisa than me, but on trying to get more activities here in Madison for our youth and our elderlies, or people that are not working on a certain day. The bus is a great idea and lets people go visit other communities. They don't have to drive. A lot of people, when they get a little older, they don't like to drive in certain temperatures or, you know, their eyes just ain't as good as they were, or they might have minor disabilities. So it's nice to be able to offer that as a service, but we also want to be offering things in our community to have our residents taking advantage of what we have. Like, for instance, for the first time this year, we were able to open up the rink for an open skate during the day. Because now that we have 2 employees, we have someone back here during the day. So someone who would have had to went to a neighboring community to get a skate in the morning or early afternoon can now come and do that here because we're properly staffed. So we're also focusing on that.
Seeing no other questions, all those in favor? Okay. Moved by Councillor Campbell, second by Councillor Allen, be resolved that council acknowledges receipt of FC 2025-01 BRM Fire Department January report as attached for information purposes. Questions or comments? Councillor McCutcheon.
Yeah, fire chief's not here, so I guess I'm asking.
Or town manager.
Okay, so the only comment I have here is down in the other, it says the fire water pump down in Valgani, alternate plans have been implemented. I just want to confirm that those alternate plans of that John Deere Power Pack.
No, the ultimate, so the other plans that have been implemented is that we've got access in Monteith. So there's 2 hydrants in Monteith that are accessible. One is at the OPP station. It's privately owned, but still uses your Falls municipal water. And then there's one a couple hundred feet closer to Monteith Correctional Complex. That the town of Airport Falls has given us permission to use. The fire chief and his senior staff have all the contact numbers if they are going to use that hydrant on who they have to call for it to get flushed afterwards. The fire department in Airport Falls has also been put on notice that Valgani is without fire suppression. So that in the event of a structure fire coming in that location, Chief Lamb has already been giving, you know, all the proper authorities if he needs extra water to call Airport Falls right away. We did a quick calculation with Aqua if we were to crack a hydrant open in Valgany right now, it would take about 55 minutes to fill a truck in its current state. And then obviously water advisories and we risk of further damaging other things, so that is what's been put in place.
So the power pack that we bought to fix that problem. That's through Aqua, right?
I think it's just not in yet.
It's just not here yet?
No. Mark, I wanna say when we talked to Chris, we were supposed to have an update by the end of March, and it looked like it was going to arrive in March. And they were looking to install it as soon as possible. Everyone knows that it's a that must. We're just trying to get it back.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Moved by Council Gattari, second by Council Bouchard, be resolved that council acknowledge the receipt of reports, Public Library CEO 2024-12 and Public Library CEO 2025-01 from the Public Library CEO as attached for information purposes. Questions, comments? Mr. Jiguer?
I just don't want anyone to think that we've forgotten. The library has come to us with a concern on the speed around the library. We have been looking at different alternatives on what we can do. But just on the speed in the community, even on Main Street today, I was parked there and people are driving fast in our community. And I've seen an OPP vehicle in this community every day since last Tuesday. Every day I've seen it. Since they've done their presentation, I'll say I've seen more and more OPP cars. But people are still driving fast, and doing 45 down Main Street is very fast. And you know, with Margaret Ann and talking to her, it just takes a second for a kid to, you know, get attacked from mom, dad, uncle, whatever, and start going in the opposite direction, and we could have a really bad story. So I'm hoping that we can reach out to the community and let's slow down as a community. And we are looking at different options for in front of the library, as it is a very high traffic area. We're also looking at options and speaking to the government on highway, right on the highway. As we see kids every day crossing that highway after school. And it's another very high dangerous area. You see kids running. It's gonna take one of them to slip and fall, and for one big truck not to see them. And it won't be a very good outcome. So we are working on those solutions. They're just taking a little bit longer than I would have liked.
Okay. Thank you. Any other question, comments? I'll just comment. Margaret Ann, same as everybody else, keep up the good work. Your circulation here in December of 800, that's crazy. So it shows that obviously your hard work is paying off. Seeing no other question, comments, all those in favor? Moved by Councillor Charbonneau, second by Councillor Campbell, be resolved that the minutes of the BRM Library Board meeting held on January 13th, 2025 be received as information. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Charbonneau, seconded by Councillor Bouchard, be resolved that council acknowledges receipt of Aqua DWS report poll tire as attached for information purposes. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Bouchard, second by Councillor Campbell, be resolved that council acknowledges the receipt of Aqua DWS report of Valgany as attached for information purposes. Questions or comments on that report? All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Bouchard, seconded by Councillor Gattari. Be resolved that council acknowledges the receipt of Aqua last quarter operation report is attached for information purposes. Questions or comments? Councillor Charbonneau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know if maybe the director can answer this. I just wanted to see that flusher boxes that we voted on if they were installed and everything was good, or we never heard nothing back?
You or Mr. Jagger? Let's go with Mr. Jagger.
Sure. In our last conversation with Chris, I wanna say that he did mention that the guys were out and that the flusher boxes were installed. But I will have to confirm that as, we talked about a lot of different, things in that, short meeting. And Aqua is one of those things where I haven't spent a lot of time on the whole water aspect. But I'll have you an answer by tomorrow and I'll send you an email.
Counselor Allen?
I also just wanted to point out, I should have done this under the Whole Tire one, but I asked some more questions about the water issues in Whole Tire after handing out all those papers in December and everything like that. We did get communication from Chris stating that they are working on a presentation for us as to what is going to happen going forward for Whole Tire Water. So for anyone who is concerned or wants any more information on that, it is coming. We're just awaiting, they're getting some more numbers and some more things together for the presentation itself.
Thank you, Counselor Allen. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, call for vote. All those in favor? Move to our confirmatory bylaw, moved by Counselor Campbell, second by Counselor Allen, be resolved that bylaw number 2025-10 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of Corporation of Township of Blackwood, Mass, and be ready first, second, and third time and finally passed this 25th day of February. All those in favor? One more item before we close. Question and answer period. We got a question last or 2 weeks ago, and since that I had a nice long conversation with Mr. Madigan on the telephone for a good long time, and we had some good conversation about areas that we can improve and areas that we're doing well, and also got some kudos was sent to us, so I appreciate that. We all appreciate that. The other question we had was Mr. Timpson regarding a courtesy blade. And we don't own a courtesy blade in this municipality. It's a luxury for some of the bigger cities, so at this point, it's not effective for us to go and purchase one and to move forward with that, so. Having said that, if there's any questions from those in attendance, if you want to stand up, state your name and your ward, and then we'll.
Don Madigan from Hull Tire. I look after the rink there. I don't know what ward you're in.
Okay.
One?
One.
Okay. I'm trying to remember that. Yeah, the rink seems to be headed in the right direction, but the courtesy plowing, I think we could do that with the backhoe. They've done it other years. Because yesterday, my neighbor has a 2-foot high snowbank and he can't get it out of it.
Okay. I will.
So for maybe the 10 times a year that we get the big snowbanks, have the backhoe go up there and just clean the driveways, because they can't do it with the blader. The snowplow driver has been trying to do it with the wing, but when he does it with the wing, it just puts the snowbank back another 10 feet further in our driveway.
Okay.
And it's a quite serious problem, because we're all seniors up there and the driveways are getting plugged and people can't get them.
Okay. I've noted your question here. I'll ask you to make contact with Mr. Jagger, maybe tomorrow or whenever it's convenient for you.
Yeah.
And then just we can try and solve it through the Director of Public Services, and then if he has a decision needs to be made by council, then we'll bring it back to council.
Is there gonna be snow removal in Hull Tire again? They usually do it once a year. They've done it once already, but we need it again.
Okay. Thank you.
Especially at my place, because my street has a water draining problem. If we don't get the snowbanks out of there right now, I'm gonna have a real problem in the spring.
Okay, again, I'll ask you if you
Okay,
can,
yeah.
if you don't mind, then that makes Mr. Jagger really earn his money.
Well, you guys are all seem to be doing a good job. I'm happy with it.
Great, thank you very much. Are there any other questions from the gallery? No? So move to closing. Moved by Councilor Campbell, second by Councilor Bouchard, be it resolved that this regular council meeting is hereby adjourned at 8:11 PM. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much, everybody.